Woo! What's up, everybody? How you all doing today? Welcome back to the Second Street Marvel, and welcome back to the morning movie chat. I hope you're all doing very good today. Oh man, got a hair something stuck on me there. Yeah. Well, so here we are, Monday, the Monday after D23, and what's this telling me here? I don't know, man. If you guys are having any problems there, please let me know. If there's any problems going on there with the stream, it's telling me there's something funny going on. I don't know, man. These things, sometimes you just get on there when you're on a live stream and you roll with it. But anyway, yeah, I hope you're all having a very good day today. Like I said, D23 was just this weekend, and we got some things that I want to talk about regarding all that, and we'll go ahead and we'll get into that. Now, again, before we get into that, I just want to say once again, thank you all so much for tuning in to the morning movie chat and just, tuning into the channel and subscribing and all those good things that you guys do for me here on the channel. Just by watching the videos and stuff like that, you guys do help support this channel and sharing and liking those videos. Different things like that, leaving the comments, your engagement is always a good thing. But, another great thing would be, if you guys could go ahead and share these videos with your friends. It's always a good time. We can get more people, more ideas flowing here. Oh man, what's going on here? Sorry. Here during the show. The more input we have, the better we all are for it. And yeah, and once again, I would like to thank my Patreon supporters out there. I do currently have 5 Patreon supporters, and once again, I appreciate you all so much for supporting the channel in that way. And we're gonna see what we can do about. I got some new videos that have just uploaded. One was supposed to be premiering this morning, but I set it for 3 p.m. instead of 3 a.m. So anyway, that should be premiering here around noon. Alex Dobbs, welcome to the live stream. Hey man, it's been a while. Can't wait to hear the news. Yeah, and that's what I want to go ahead and get into right now. Is we can see, there was D23 this weekend, and they announced a lot of cool things. Like one of the definite cool things, and I'm not sure this was on Friday when they released that Mandalorian trailer. And I got to tell you guys, like, if you guys follow me here on the channel, I'm more of a Marvel guy than I am the Star Wars. I love Star Wars when I was growing up, and like I've talked about here before, I found out after The Last Jedi came out, apparently I'm not that big of a fan because I'm not that bothered by some stuff, and I don't really, that's a lot of that stuff not bothering so much for some people. Yeah, they're really passionate about this, whether it's their hatred or their love for Star Wars, and it just kind of cracks me up. But this trailer coming up for The Mandalorian looks absolutely great. I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see what they've got in store for us there. And I don't know what's going on with this thing. Tell me. I don't know. Anyway, like I said, if there's anything going wrong with my stream, let me know. It's saying down on my screen that there is. I don't know. If it's being choppy, let me know. We can see what we can do about getting that all fixed. But anyway, yes, The Mandalorian, it looks really good. Now, we know this is being produced and everything by Jon Favreau. And in case you guys don't know who Jon Favreau is, he's kind of a big deal. Jon Favreau he's a great director, and these days it seems like he's doing a lot of these bigger blockbusters for Disney, where he recently did The Jungle Book. He obviously introduced Iron Man and directed the first 2 Iron Man films. So he's over there at Disney, he's a pretty big guy. He recently just did the Lion King live action remake. I say live action because is it really that live action? But obviously he's producing this series, and I got to tell you guys, the trailer that we got for it, it actually looked really great. It looked really good, and like I said, it got me pretty hyped up. I haven't really been too much on the hype train at all for Star Wars or anything like that. It's I don't know. It's just been there's just been so much Marvel stuff going on, and there hasn't really been a whole lot of Last Jedi, or not Last Jedi, but Star Wars talk going on out there. There's been plenty of Last Jedi talk. Jeez, let me tell you. Stu Jersey X, welcome to the live stream. Star Wars has very good cinematography. Always love the visuals. Yeah, and that's one of the things, and I've talked with this about to several people about this stuff as well, and that is that whether you like or hate the Last Jedi, you got to admit there's some great cinematography in there, just some beautiful shots, just different things going on in it. Does that make up for some of the bad stuff in it? Not really, because even myself not being the hugest fan and not I enjoyed the movie. It was okay. I mean, I didn't love the movie. I certainly wouldn't go out there to defend it and say it was a good movie. It was a lot of the shots were really it was really well shot, very beautiful shots in there going on as well. And so yeah, I can't wait to see what we've got in store with this Mandalorian. And as we know, they also did this morning. They premiered like, I guess you could say like a sizzler reel kinda for the Rise of Skywalker, getting ready to come out in December. And it wasn't really, I don't know, I guess you could call it a trailer. It wasn't really, it was more like a teaser. And I thought it looked, I don't know, it was a lot of fluff, really. I mean, we got a lot of shots of stuff from the past, and then it goes on and, gives you a couple of shots, gives you about 10, 15, 20 seconds or so. I don't know. I didn't keep track of how long that it gives you of the Rise of Skywalker. And I gotta tell you, I mean, it kind of piqued my interest a little, but it didn't grab and pull me in as much as that Mandalorian trailer. I can certainly tell you that much. But again, I mean, I guess that could come down to just a lot of different things. Obviously, they weren't really going for a big push with this little like sizzler reel. But altogether, I would say that my hype for Star Wars is starting to build just a little bit here finally. And so yeah, I can't wait to December to see some of that. What about Rey at the end of it? Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Like the lightsabers all double and it all clicks down, and yeah, it's that's pretty interesting. People are already out there speculating about everything that's going to be going on with that. And it's really hard to say. I was over on the Den of Nerds. On the Den of Nerds live stream yesterday, and they were talking a lot about it. And I'm not sure if you guys watched the Den of Nerds or not, but you guys should definitely go check out that channel. One of my favorite channels out there that there is. They talk a lot about Marvel and Star Wars content, and they also got a gaming channel as well. If you're into gaming, they got their Den of Nerds gaming channel as well that they've actually been starting to grow a lot more. So yeah. And they were talking a lot about it, and that's the thing I like about the Den of Nerds is, we see so many times out there that there's a lot of these clickbaity websites, clickbaity YouTube channels, and all that kinds of stuff, just tossing basically what this little sizzler reel was at us, a lot of fluff, and don't really give us a whole lot of good content, I guess you could say. And that's but that's like over at the Den of Nerds, Josh over there, he does such a great job of, just getting down in the muck and dealing with all of that, just like that gross stuff out there, all those clickbaity sites. Man, he dives right into that. Takes it all, filters it, and gives you his thoughts on it, and kind of reports on all the stuff that's going on out there, all the rumors and everything. Because I can tell you, for one, I don't like getting into like a lot of these websites and all that stuff. I mean, especially if I'm on my phone, because they got all these pop-ups and all that crap, and you're sitting there trying to scroll through it, and next thing you know, you accidentally clicked on an ad, and then that takes you to 4 different dude. Come on, man. These are clickbaity sites. And Josh over there at the Den of Nerds, he does a great job over there going through a lot of that stuff. Lord Callus, welcome back, man. How you doing? I hope you're all having a good day. If you guys haven't checked out Lord Callus's channel, you should definitely go and check out his channel. Good stuff. He actually just dropped a video this morning. I believe that was the Ranker Report, where he was going over just some of the stuff coming out of D23 as well. He's definitely somebody that's a lot more informed about these kind of things than I am. Certainly a lot more hyped than I am, for sure. I'm sure going in here to the Mandalorian and even Episode 9 to see what it has in store for him. But as I said, for me, it's starting to pick up, the Star Wars hype, a lot of that, like I said, for me, I've realized that I'm like, I like Star Wars. I'm just not like the hugest fan, I just like to go into those films, have some fun, hope that they're good. And like I said, I can tell you that there's more things wrong with The Last Jedi than there isn't. But The Force Awakens, I actually liked it. So yeah, I mean that's just my thoughts there. Going into the Star Wars stuff that we're getting ready to be hitting. I can guess at this point we're gonna start getting a lot more Star Wars like leaks and rumors and different things like that getting ready to come out in these next couple of months as leading into the release of that movie. Now the next thing I want to go ahead and talk about. Oh, I must have missed you. Alex Dobbs says black cloak and dual lightsaber. Like what? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was sitting there. I was like, damn. And like I don't know what's really going on there. Like I said, people have begun to speculate. Like, is she joining the dark side? Is she a clone? Is she the one who's actually Palpatine? Just all these. I mean, I've heard so many different just little theories out there, and they all sound kind of interesting. I mean, I guess that's kind of what a lot of channels are built around, anyways, theorizing and putting those theories out there, and that's definitely a cool thing. Um, so yeah, again, I can't wait to see that. Now, the next thing I want to talk about here is before I get into the main thing I want to talk about, and that's this Falcon and Winter Soldier series. The one thing I want to talk about is, for one, some of these other series that are getting ready to come out. They announced, man, I got these hairs all over me. I don't know where these hairs came from. I was just working out in the garage, so before I started the show, and I didn't take a shower yet. But maybe that's where it's from. I was down there doing some of my exercises. I don't know. But anyway, um, yeah, this WandaVision, then they announced Moon Knight, Miss Marvel. I can't even remember the other one that they announced here. If you guys feel free to chime in there, but they went ahead and announced these series getting ready to come to the streaming service. Oh, She-Hulk, yeah, that was it. She-Hulk, Moon Knight, and Miss Marvel. And the one thing I've been saying for a while is that like this streaming service, I was talking about this on Friday. This streaming service is like a whole, I mean, it's a game changer, man. It's a game changer for them, being able to introduce these characters before they bring them into the MCU. And Kevin Feige himself said that during D23. He was talking about just building the hype for these people, and we can basically at this point, I'm guessing the thing we can start to not expect anymore is origin story films coming at us in the MCU. I just don't see that happening at this point, or they've got the streaming service where they can introduce the characters and just their backstories and everything like that. They don't have to spend time doing that so much anymore, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because sometimes like, but at the same time, is it? I was starting to think about this, because I kind of feel like if something about, it's just like the same thing as a number one, a comic issue, where just like the whole opening act of a movie is, the thing is that's most important is getting in and getting to know this character, getting that good backstory and things like that. That's kind of what sucks you into these characters, and gets you more invested into the movie. And while they're going to be doing that, and they can do it in a longer format in these TV shows, like they're obviously going to do with Miss Marvel before they take her into the MCU, with She-Hulk before they take her into the MCU, and even Moon Knight. The thing is, once we actually hit the theater with these characters in there, I mean, are they going to do standalone films, or at that point, are they just going to be tossed into a bigger picture movie as opposed to having standalone films? And that's the thing I'm really curious about. And I guess we're going to see in the coming months how this all works out, because we can see, like, some of these other stories, we have established characters in them, and they're now going into the streaming service, and I'm sure, and we'll get more into that, and I'm sure that they will be coming into the MCU at some point. So again, for me, it's just, I don't know. I'm really confused on exactly where this could go, because, like I said, this is such a game changer that they can do this. Like, obviously, we're obviously going to get the backstory of Kamala Khan, and oh man, what's her name? Jennifer Walters, the She-Hulk, and even Moon Knight as well. What is I was about to say Phil Spector. That's that one sicko guy, right? Mark Spector. And anyway, the thing is like I said, they get to introduce all these characters before they get to be into the movies, which, like I said, begs the question: are they going to just do backstories on these people and then just toss them in crossover events in the movies, or are they going to make standalone films later at another point where they are actually in the MCU. You know, because like I said, we won't be getting as many of those. I just don't feel like we're going to be getting as many of those character introductions and like origin story type films in the MCU. And I think they've said that for a while, and I thought they said that before Captain Marvel as well. Which if you look at it and you've heard some of my feelings about it, we didn't really get a backstory on Carol Danvers anyway in her movie. So there's that. We just got an introduction to the character. Really, nothing about her past other than the fact that she had a best friend and she was in the Air Force. That was really about it. Absolutely nothing else. Nothing about her family. Nothing about her trials and tribulations as she was growing up and or anything like that. We just got a little flashy montage scene. So it just makes me wonder. I mean, are they going to dive into some of that? And yeah, so I mean that's just that, like as far as those characters being introduced and being built up and brought into the MCU, it just kind of makes me wonder what the future has in store for us and how that's going to work. Or are these characters going to be characters who aren't going to be as big in the films, like I said, and just coming into the just into the MCU as these crossovers. I don't know, but let me know what you guys think about that. Now, the other thing I want to get into is, like I was saying, obviously we got plenty of other characters here that are being put into these Disney Plus streaming services that are going to be that are currently tied into the MCU going to go basically into the streaming service and then probably back into the movies, which we don't know all the details about the WandaVision and Doctor Strange movie, as far as how they're all going to work together or anything like that. Because I would think it would be kind of cool if what they did was they did like part of the season and then all of a sudden they did part of the season, did the movie, and then did the other part of the season. Though I doubt they're going to do that, and I can't remember the exact dates on the slate. But I kind of wonder if, like, when it comes to these streaming services like WandaVision, is that only going to be a one-time series, that just that mini series, and they're never going to touch it again, or are they going to bring these characters back in another series, and maybe it's not going to be called WandaVision, maybe it's going to be called something else. I don't know. It just kind of makes me curious about that. But then we were talking. I was watching a couple of videos here the other day. I believe one of them was on the Den of Nerds. Like I said, it's a great channel. You guys should go check out. Is talking about just like the WandaVision and how a lot of that's going to go ahead and tie into the movies and kind of what that might mean. And for me, I think there's a lot of plausible scenarios here for what's going on, for what's going to happen. Because we've seen at D23 they described it as like a Dick Van Dyke kind of show. Which is like God, what was that? 60s? Was it 50s when that TV show was out? I'm not sure if you guys ever seen that show. I mean, yeah, I'm sure a lot of the audience out there who are into these kind of movies probably too young to remember a lot of that stuff. But I mean, just think of movies like A Leave It to Beaver, stuff like that. Oh man, dang, a lot of people might not realize that one as well. Man, I guess I'm starting to show my age here, man. I just don't know. But it's going to be interesting to see how that comes about. People have been speculating like maybe it's going to be like a House of M kind of thing. But like my guess was maybe what if it's like House of M but backwards? You know what I mean? Instead of her destroying mutants, maybe she's actually going to create mutants through some sort of means similar to how she destroyed all mutants. You know what I mean? So just something like that. I just thought that would be kind of a cool idea because we all know that they don't exactly play off of the what's going on in the movies. For the most part, they don't. I mean, it's just the source material. They don't directly go to screen from what the comic books were. So it just kind of makes me wonder if they're thinking about something like that. I seen somebody else speculating the other day about when they finally do the X-Men, if they're going to take and reverse the roles of like Magneto and Professor Xavier, or like Xavier is more the one who the one who wants the dominance, where and then Magneto would be the one who wants to like but the integrationist, I guess you could say, be, bringing people together. It just kind of makes me wonder. Kind of makes me wonder because they could always, like I said, they could always switch that stuff up. And if they do that kind of stuff, dude, people are going to be mad. People are going to be mad. Just a little brother, I'm pumped. Oh yeah, Lord Callis, I bet, man. Ready for some of that Star Wars coming up. Aggressively relaxing says, have you read Tom King's Vision? It's really sad. I haven't. I haven't actually. Maybe I should get in and do that. Is Tom King? He's the one that's messing up the Batman right now. Is he? Is that the same one? I don't know. I hear people talking about that. I don't read. I don't read Batman. I think the only DC book I've really been keeping up with is Deceased and Hawkman, and I've liked both of those series. They're pretty good, and I can see that Marvel looks like they're getting ready to piggyback off of DC in the comics here pretty soon, as they're getting ready to come out with Marvel Zombies here in the next month or two. I don't know, just a little funny. I mean, sure they did it before too, but I don't know. Just the timing is a little bit odd, right? Like DC's doing their DC's thing. It's going pretty good. Um, yeah, I don't know. Tom Taylor's doing a good job writing that. And now all of a sudden, Marvel's going to come in and try to swoop up some of the spotlight too. Just kind of cracks me up. So yeah, I'm just kind of wondering where all they're going because um, with this Falcon Wanda, this WandaVision series, they're talking about maybe they're having kids and things like that, and it just kind of makes you wonder, like what's going on with that? Just so much turmoil going on, and we've seen some of the different people that they're bringing into the series. They're bringing back Darcy, who was obviously the basically the workmate. She was the aide, or how would you say? God, what was they called her? Um, I can't remember in the movie. Um, but she was basically the helper of Jane Foster in that movie. So it makes you kind of makes you wonder if it's going to tie into Thor: Love and Thunder too, maybe. And then we see Catherine Hahn is going to be in this TV show as like the nosy neighbor, which kind of brings back which kind of does sound like one of those old classic TV type shows where you have the nosy neighbor poking around, seeing what's going on and everything all the time. Um, so yeah, I mean, but what is she gonna be the nosy neighbor of? Like Wanda, who's living in like some sort of house, like Leave It to Beaver, some sort of stuff like that for like an old sitcom. It makes me wonder what's really going on there with that. And Catherine Hahn's pretty. I like Catherine Hahn. She's pretty funny. Seen her in. Plenty of different things. Where I don't know. I thought she'd been funny. Definitely does some funny roles out there. Tommy, welcome to the live stream. Thank you for being here. Um, so yeah, it just makes me wonder. Then we've seen Randall Park returning as Jimmy Woo. Okay, and that's kind of interesting because we know that I think he was just working for the FBI. I don't think he was necessarily part of Shield or anything like that when he was in Ant-Man 2 or in the Ant-Man and Wasp movie. So it kind of makes me wonder there. And again, I don't know too much of his story from the comic books, but I do know that this character was actually in the comic books as well. But man, and I'm thinking in the comics, I thought he was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I could totally be wrong there. Aggressively Relaxing says, it is the same Tom King. Okay. People love his Vision book. It is Vision trying to have a perfect 1950s life. Okay. Because so basically he's got a vision of what like the perfect family life would be, because that's what was portrayed in a lot of those movies like Leave It to Beaver and just things like that, like the Dick Van Dyke Show. I'm not sure. I was talking about these shows the other day too. These shows with Mickey Rooney when he was growing up, and I can't remember. Was it Tom? I can't remember what the name. It wasn't like the Hardy Boys, but it was. It wasn't Laurel and Hardy neither. It was man, I can't remember. But Mickey Rooney, he played this young kid, and he was in these movies, and kind of just showed him growing up through life as a young man. I can't remember what those were, but there's those types of shows where you see just a good, clean, wholesome life. You know what I mean? And living out in suburbia and just how nice and glamorous it is. It's just the nice average American life. So that makes me wonder exactly what's going to be going on with the show. Interesting stuff, especially like I said, because Jimmy Woo's there. What's Jimmy Woo doing there? What's Darcy doing there? Like she helped Jane Foster and Eric Selvig, and a lot of this kind of plays into what I want to go into, talking about the Falcon and Winter Soldier series, which is what I'm going to talk about even more. But it does just kind of make me wonder what's going on here with some of these characters, especially Darcy, because then it makes me wonder if we're going to get Dr. Eric Selvig coming into the Falcon and Winter Soldier series, and I've got several reasons why I believe that too. Part of the reason is obviously we can see Thor: Love and Thunder was announced. We know that Dr. Eric Selvig was part of those. The Thor series, he obviously came in during the Avengers as well. Yeah. And what else? Was he in Age of Ultron? I don't remember him being in Age of Ultron, but obviously, he's done a lot of things. He was played a pretty major role in Thor: The Dark World, and you could see there he knows a lot of stuff. He knows what he's talking about after all his work with the Cosmic Cube, and this is kind of what makes me wonder if we're going to be getting him back in this series. Aggressively relaxing says the one picture we have for WandaVision is obviously heavily influenced by the King Run art. Okay, and yeah, like I said, I need to go and check that out. Hopefully, they got some of that stuff on. Hopefully, they got some of that stuff on Marvel Unlimited. I'll have to get on there and check that out. I went ahead and subscribed to that service a while back, and you can get on there and read comics and all kinds of stuff. I mean, for me personally, like I like the actual physical copy. I like having those. There's something about having the physical copy of a comic in your hand. It's just a lot different reading. It really is. But the service, the Marvel Unlimited, is really great for if you don't have that collection, or you just want to go back and read some stories that you don't have the comics of, because a lot of these stories you're not going to find the comics unless they've done like a True Believers or reprints or second printings, third printings, stuff like that. And hell, even then, I almost wonder if some of those are worth money now, since because it's not like they're just like a dime a dozen. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's kind of what Marvel Unlimited is nice for. So maybe I'll get on there and check some of those out. But again, just like I've been saying, this whole thing is a game changer, man. These Disney Plus streaming service shows tying into the movies, something that's never been done before. Nobody's ever done this. I mean, sure, we've had crossover events where maybe you get like a mini series or something on TV, and then it ties, like Agents of Shield tied into a couple of episodes tied into the MCU somewhat, loosely, and they had some of the characters come in, like Lady Sif came in. Obviously, the whole show is headed up by Agent Coulson, Clark Gregg's character. There was some other things as well, like I believe from Age of Ultron, they had I don't think Strucker was in there, but the guy that he was working with, Doctor. Oh man, why did I forget his name all of a sudden? The doctor that was experimenting with twins. Um, with Peter and Wanda Maximoff. Man, why did I forget his name all of a sudden? See? This is why you need to do your research, kids, so you don't end up looking like a fool on live TV or live YouTube or live YT. Ah. Anyway, um, Dr. List. And anyway, so it really makes me wonder, because they've done a lot of things here, and I'm guessing Dr. Selvig could come back in this Falcon and Winter Soldier series. And part of the reason I believe that is, did you guys see this news about the Falcon and Winter Soldier series? And I got to tell you guys, I'm pretty excited about this, and I'm not somebody who's been I wasn't a big fan of like all different Captain America. Or anything like that. But I'll tell you, I did read a lot of the Sam Wilson Captain America. It was written by Nick Spencer, the comic book. And now, if you did, it's wow, it's really really pretty interesting. The timing of all this too, and believe me, kids, it's not coincidence. It's not coincidence. But if you go back and you read Sam Wilson Captain America, it was at a time when he got handed the shield by old Steve Rogers. Okay, I know, right? It's like something we've seen. Huh, where did we see that in? Avengers Endgame? Right. And I've been talking about this since that movie. As we see old Steve Rogers hand the shield over to Sam Wilson. All right, and Bucky, Bucky kind of knew all these different things. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of this comic book, but there was a lot of interesting things that happened in this book. Now, one of the reasons I'm not such a huge fan of the Sam Wilson Captain America comic book is mostly because it was you can go through and read it. It's basically right around the time that the elections were, when Donald Trump got elected back in 2016. It was all like around like 2015, I believe that was. That comic book, and if you read a lot of it, it's literally like, man, like there's some of the stuff, it's like panel for panel exactly what you've seen on the news on CNN at the time, or Fox News, and all these different things. Exact same stuff. And so that's what I didn't like about it. Just some of the creativity wasn't there. I mean, it was like great art and stuff like that, but the story was pretty copy and paste. I mean, it was literally like watching CNN. And I was like, man, there's not a whole lot of creativity in doing that. I mean, you change a couple of words and bam, it's a Sam Wilson Captain America story. Thomas says, I like the Netflix shows. We're tied together. Shame they ran those series into the ground before they got canceled by Disney. And see, I wasn't really a big fan of the Netflix Marvel stuff. I don't really. I don't know. I just not really into them. I'm not really into the TV shows though, and I've talked about that a lot too here on the channel. I'm just not really into a lot of the TV shows. I just don't like the TV format. Just there's plenty of the other things. Like me, I'm just like just make a movie. You know what I mean? Just make a movie. And I really wasn't into most of those series. Now I'm not saying that they were bad, but like it was hard to watch most of them for me, and even the Marvel stuff. The Boys, I mean, I want to watch that. It hasn't really grabbed and sucked me in. You know what I mean? Like I watched part of the first episode. I was like, cool, this is gonna be good, but it's like it hasn't piqued my interest enough. And it's just I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. But again, yeah, and those didn't really tie into the MCU or anything neither. They just kind of I don't know. Like I said, it's just that what they're doing here with the streaming service is something crazy. And so yeah, back to the Falcon and Winter Soldier series. Dr. Eric Selvig coming in. Sam Wilson, Captain America. Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier. We see, if you paid attention to those comic books too, around that same time, Winter Soldier was actually kind of not really put in charge of, but he's basically formed the Thunderbolts, and they were out doing things, you know what I mean, just going on these missions and stuff, just similar like to the Avengers and stuff like that. And he was out there with the Thunderbolts. He was keeping an eye on stuff like and here's where it gets interesting. Okay, here's where it gets interesting is in these stories, and I've talked about this before. The assault on Pleasant Hill, what had happened is they had Maria Hill was in charge of Shield at the time. Yeah, that Maria Hill was in charge of Shield at the time, and she created this prison, this super prison for criminals, and they had all these criminals in there locked up, but it wasn't just like a prison, because what they were doing is at the time they had been studying and messing around with the cosmic cube, which was Kobik at the time. And what had happened is while they were doing it, like it exploded there in the Shield facility, and I believe a lot of people died in that explosion. And what happened was when they went back into the room was they found that it exploded into a bunch of different pieces, and some of those it became basically Kobik was the cosmic cube and became a sentient being, and it was a little girl, and she could change people's realities. And that's kind of how I'll get into that here pretty soon. So um so basically they were experimenting with Kobik and or the cosmic cube, and she started to change things. And Shield, they used her to create this prison, which was Pleasant Hill, where they were keeping all these supervillains basically locked up in a prison of their mind, really. And Dr. Eric Selvig was one of the huge guys in charge of that, working on that. So and again, this was at a time when Steve Rogers was old. He was old man Steve Rogers. Falcon was Captain America. We got Bucky, who was basically in charge of a rogue squadron of heroes, if you will. They had Baron Zemo. Yeah. Yeah, that Zemo, the same one that we know to be in the Falcon and Winter Soldier series, they had him in lockup in there, as well as a whole host of other villains. And that's what's interesting about it too. And then we see, the announcement after D23 this weekend. We see that they got John Walker. They announced, guys, what was this gentleman's name? Uh, Wyatt Russell, being brought in as as I just lost his name. American agent, super agent. Yeah, you got U.S. agent. And that's pretty interesting that he's coming in to do that, because what had happened at the time in the comic books was he was when Sam Wilson was actually basically the Captain America. He actually came in and was kind of put in charge by the government, if you will, to go and get the shield from Sam. He was going to be the new Captain America because nobody could rally around Sam because they had all these things going on. Hashtag not my captain. And so we see that he's getting ready to come in as John Walker into the series. And it's interesting because remember not too long ago, what's his name? John Cena was talking something about that campaigning or something. A lot of people were fan casting him as that, which would have been pretty cool. But again, he don't have the acting chops, and we see this guy Wyatt Russell getting ready to come in to play him. And it's pretty interesting. I'm wondering, this kid doesn't look too big, so it makes me wonder if he's gonna get all jacked and everything. And I believe, if I'm not wrong, I believe John Walker, he got some form. Did he get some form of the serum as well? Maybe I can't remember if he did like the super soldier serum, something similar to that. And so that's kind of interesting. But what happened in the comics was John Walker came after basically Sam Wilson to get the shield from him to take over and be Captain America. And what happened in that time was. In the meantime, Kobik had actually, while all these bad guys were in captivity, had went and the heroes were going in there because Baron Zemo was leading this charge to overthrow and get out of the prison. He was basically taking some of these prisoners and enlightening them about who they were and things like that. So they started to overthrow the prison, and there was the assault on Pleasant Hill happened. Iron Man, Captain America, all the heroes went to this prison. And this kind of got Maria Hill in a lot of trouble. She ended up having to go to trial for this prison and just some of the things that they were doing there. And so they went there, and Kobik actually made Captain America, Steve Rogers, young again, gave him back his powers and everything like that. And in the middle of a fight that he was in with Crossbones. And so gave him his power back. He eventually came back as Steve Rogers, Captain America. He was back. He went back. He got a new shield, and he wasn't. Sam still had his old shield, um, and the whole time he was sitting there like no, Sam, Sam was trying to give it back to him, saying, here, man, like, you're Captain America, and he's like, no, dude, like, I gave it to you for a reason. You are Captain America. I picked you for a reason. Like, you can do this. Like, was on his side. But really, what was going on, because Kobik came through and changed his reality, he was actually sitting there just playing the game and saying like, yes, Sam, like, no, you're him. You're the man. I'm not gonna take this from you. This is your mantle. And it was kind of like that. While like I said, the whole time Sam was questioning himself. He didn't want to do it. But Steve Rogers actually wanted to take the shield back from him. John Walker was actually, I believe, he was part of their ploy to basically get Sam Wilson to kind of mess up or something like that, do something to far enough from graces that he handed back over the shield. And eventually, Sam did hand the shield back over to him, and it wasn't I don't know. It was just a complicated situation with a lot of these people, just kind of what they were going through at the time. Drew Boss 5, welcome to the live chat. Thank you for being here. Just talking about this Captain America and Winter Soldier series and some of the new stars that were announced for this. And obviously we've seen that Emily Van Camp was said to be coming back as well, and she plays Sharon Carter, which is pretty interesting as well, because we've seen that Steve Rogers actually went back to stay with Sharon Carter back in the past, and now or not Sharon Carter, but Peggy Carter back in the past, and Emily Van Camp is coming back to be Sharon Carter. Now, some of the other interesting stuff that happened here through the course of time was Sharon Carter had actually, she was younger too, and then she actually had gotten aged to be up to this, to be like the same age as Captain America. And because they were dating and all this stuff, and, Steve Rogers likes to keep it in the family. You know what I'm saying? And so it makes me wonder, like, all these things that happened in the comic books, a lot of this stuff that people didn't want to see, it looks like it's coming to fruition. You know what I mean? It looks like it's coming to fruition, and I've been talking about this for a while. Like I said, I think Eric Selvig could be coming into this, and maybe this is all going to end up tying together into something larger, because Eric Selvig was the doctor who was working with S.H.I.E.L.D. In the comic books to experiment with Kobik and things like that. She eventually changed his past as well to make him believe that he was an agent of Hydra as well. And I can't remember. I think it was when she went to Red Skull. Kobik went to Red Skull after she kind of didn't like the people at Shield anymore. She's like, man, all these people is one stuff from me. And Red Skull at the time was like, oh, like, oh, this is the cosmic cube. The cosmic cube has come back to me. And so he basically took this little girl, which was Kobik, and kind of groomed her. Like he was was helping raise her like she was a little child. He put her to sleep at night. Would read her like these like Dr. Seuss style books about Hydra and stuff like that. And so that's why she eventually went back and changed Steve Rogers' past to let him be Hydra, because she thought Hydra was good and Hydra was trying to help the world and different things like that. And eventually, this whole plan ended up backfiring on Red Skull in the first place. But that was something huge that had happened, and he went and read Eric Selvig's mind, and he realized he's like, this dude wasn't Hydra, and he read his mind. He's like, because he had the powers of Professor Xavier at the time, and I'm not exactly for sure how all of that happened. With how he got Professor Xavier's powers and abilities, but so he sat there and read his mind. He's like, this dude was never Hydra, but he's got all these memories and everything. And that's where when Kobik told him, like, yeah, I went and I changed his history to make him on our side, to make him a good guy. And that's when he got the bright idea to make Captain America, Steve Rogers, for her to go and change his past. She gave his powers back, she changed his past, and he believed that he was a Hydra agent all along. And he believed that instead of Bucky Barnes being his best friend the whole time, he believed that it was Baron Zemo who was his friend the whole time. Okay, and that's why I say seeing some of this stuff getting ready to come into this Falcon and Winter Soldier series is definitely interesting to me. Russell Wells Benjamin, welcome to the live stream. Thank you so much for being here. So yeah, that's why I say a lot of these things are going to be very interesting, seeing what they're going to be doing with this series. As far as some of that stuff is concerned, because like I said, in the comics, just some of the comics that I read, and I've been speculating about that as well, that people have been talking about Secret Wars, and at this point, with all this talk about Spider-Man not being in the MCU anymore, Secret Wars, whew, is it gonna happen? Because Spider-Man ain't gonna be there, ain't gonna come back with that black symbiote suit, is he? Which if he's just going back to the Sonyverse, we can obviously tell that that's not gonna be very important now, is it? But yeah, and that's just some of the interesting things that I think we could be having coming up. Discovery Bay Comics, welcome to the live stream. Just sitting here chatting about, in case you guys are new here, just sitting here talking about some of these series, these Disney Plus series, and what they mean for the MCU, and just how they tie into some of the comic books that I personally have read and enjoy. We've got so many people talking about, like I said, Secret Wars. People are thinking about Secret Wars coming up. Secret Invasion, which could easily be like the next Captain Marvel movie. I mean, it could. And just some of these different things, and how I believe, and I've been saying for a while that I think we're going to get our Civil War 2 coming up here, Assault on Pleasant Hill. I think we're going to be getting all these things coming up into the MCU very quick, just from the things that I'm seeing from this WandaVision series, some of the movies that have been announced, as well as this Falcon and Winter Soldier series. I'm telling you, I think these things are coming, man. I think we're gonna get, and maybe that's what the next Captain Marvel movie is gonna be. Maybe the next Captain Marvel movie, instead of being Captain America Civil War, maybe it's gonna be Captain Marvel Civil War 2. You think? Hmm. I don't know. I'm just thinking it could be. Because like I said, all these things that have been alluded to in the MCU already. When I was actually reading the comics of Assault on Pleasant Hill, and then going into Civil War 2, and then in through Secret Empire, I'm like, dude, like the MCU is there, like they're already there, as far as everything that they've done to build up to it. We've got Selvig, we've got the Cosmic Cube, we've got Red Skull, who we don't know what's going to happen to him, what his future is going to be. We've got Thanos, and which is something interesting too, because I think it was at the beginning of Civil War 2, Thanos actually comes back and makes an attack on one of the helicarriers. Was it one of the helicarriers, I believe? Makes an attack, and they actually get Thanos into captivity. And just interesting stuff. He said, bro, they giving him that symbiote suit, so Sony won't be able to stop themselves from doing it. Oh yeah, they are. And I have, how many more movies had they committed to for Captain Marvel? Discovery Bay Comics, I'm not for sure that, supposedly Brie Larson had signed like a 6 or 7 movie contract. and it's always tricky when we get into those things because what does that include? I mean, obviously her solo movies, which we're guessing if they go by the template they've set so far would be 3 of them, and then how the crossover movies go, because as we've seen, she's already been in Avengers Endgame, and I'm guessing she's probably, I wonder if she's going to be going into like that Miss Marvel series as well. It would only make sense, but I mean, they didn't really follow the Captain Marvel series too well. Is her Endgame appearance considered her second of the three film deal? I think, and again, that I don't know, because I know they get tricky on some of those things sometimes, because she really wasn't in Endgame a whole lot, like a couple of little spots, that was really about it. But I don't know, it could count as one, maybe it counts as a half of one. I don't know if they do halves or anything. But I do definitely think, like I was saying, I think there's a high chance. I mean, everything with this Falcon and Winter Soldier series could be maybe the Falcon and Winter Soldier series is actually covering the assault on Pleasant Hill and what's been going on there. Because as we see at the end of Avengers Endgame, we've got old Steve Rogers, we've got Iron Man who is dead. In case from the comics, just through like Civil War 2 and stuff like that, Tony actually wasn't dead, but he was in a coma and became like basically what's happened. He was in a coma, and his being, like just like Dr. Zola pretty much, was his consciousness was uploaded into an AI, and there was an AI running the Iron Man suit there for a while. So it just makes me wonder if they're going to do something similar to that. Like I said, obviously, it certainly appears like Tony Stark had died in Avengers Endgame. We've seen the funeral and everything, but we never actually seen him bury his body or anything like that. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it just leaves so much open. But plus, if we've got Kobik going out there and messing with time, just some of the things I've been talking about, then it's very possible that we see Tony Stark come back alive, or at least have his consciousness uploaded into this AI system. And I think it's very possible that his consciousness is already loaded up into an AI system so he can somewhat live on. Because this is something that we've seen in the comics, and this is something we've actually seen in the MCU. That's exactly what Dr. Zola did. And in case you don't already know, you didn't watch my video called The Stark Sham, Tony Stark pretty much, the Starks pretty much are piggybacking off of all of Dr. Zola's inventions. Okay, if you, I mean, Dr. Zola basically created that new element that Tony Stark rediscovered in Iron Man 2. He created that back in 1941. And, that was in the Captain America: The First Avenger. He created that, and that's where Howard Stark had gotten the that element to study that he couldn't replicate, that he left that video behind for Tony Stark to find and realize, and that's when Tony Stark eventually went out and made that new element. Dr. Zola had already created it, which was the funny thing, because we seen Howard Stark was saying that he was limited by the technology of his time and he couldn't basically make it, where Dr. Zola had done it years and years earlier. So just kind of some interesting stuff looking at that. But then, like I said, they piggyback a lot off of Dr. Zola. We know that Dr. Zola, if you watch Captain America: The First Avenger again, as that last attack by Steve Rogers, where they're going to shut down Hydra, Dr. Zola goes into the office and grabs his blueprints for his mechanical body, for his robot body, just like in the comics. I mean, it's drawn there and everything. It has like the little camera head and everything. Similar, and we seen in Captain America, Winter Soldier, where he was actually, his consciousness was downloaded into a computer, and he was looking around with that little camera eye already in the first place. So it's not beyond me to assume that there's Dr. Zola still out there, okay? That Tony Stark's body isn't already, his consciousness isn't already uploaded into an AI, and he may be some form of Jarvis at this point. And maybe, I mean, hell, we've seen they created a body for Vision. We've seen that they can make fake skin. They can make body, they could basically make bodies. We've seen that with God, wasn't that Dr. Cho in Avengers Age of Ultron? Remember, they were making that new skin graft for Hawkeye. Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, we're there. Everything's there. Yeah, man, I just don't know. A lot of this speculation gets me excited, because, like I said, we've got all the makings there of Assault on Pleasant Hill. We've got super villains in captivity. We see, just even through like some of the things, like with the barf technology and stuff like that that we see Mysterio using in the Spider-Man movie. That barf technology would be similar to similar to the exact same thing that they would need for Pleasant Hill, where Maria Hill had everybody in that prison. So like I'm saying, all the pieces are there, and that's the thing is like I'm sure there's other people mentioning this, but I feel like I'm the only one talking about this and how the assault on Pleasant Hill is coming. We've got all these supervillains in this prison. We've seen that Everett Ross has they had Baron Zemo. We've seen they got cryo chambers. I mean they've got all this different stuff that are just all these different things going on here. We got Nick Fury, at the end of the Spider-Man. He's in space. You know what I mean? In case you didn't know, Civil War II, they had, like I believe it was the Alpha Flight and everything. They had that suit of armor around the world. Like that suit of armor that Tony Stark wants in the MCU. They had all this stuff. You know what I mean? They have all this stuff. I mean, all the pieces are there, and sometimes I feel like I'm going crazy. Like I'm the only one who's looking at all this stuff that we got going on, and maybe I'm the only one that remembers those comics and wants to remember them because it seems like a lot of people didn't like that stuff. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, like I said, these are some exciting times and things that we got going on here. Drew Boss 5 says, "Sorry, can't stick around. Got to get back to work. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great day." Thank you very much, Drew Boss 5. You have a great day as well. Discovery Basic Comics says, "Ooh, this sounds juicy. I need to check out that video of yours." Oh man, I've done several. Maybe I need to put together a video, a playlist of a lot of my theories that I've done on some of this stuff coming up for. Maybe I need to put together a video of highlights of stuff I've talked about on this stuff. Nerdy Blurb TV, welcome to the live stream. Thank you for being here. And he says, Discovery Babe Comics, love your stuff. Yeah, definitely, man. They do, yeah, all those videos promoting all the different comic book channels and everything. Good stuff. Definitely good stuff they're doing over there. So yeah, guys, that's something I'm excited for, and that's something that, like I said, I think we're really building to. Like I said, they announced that John Walker's coming in, Emily Van Camp coming back as Sharon Carter. We know we've got Bucky and Steve and Sam there for this Winter Soldier series, Falcon and Winter Soldier series, and I'm telling you, this stuff is building up for. It seems like it's building up for that assault on Pleasant Hill for our Civil War too, and I've been talking about this for a while. I very well think that that's exactly where we're headed. It only makes sense. I mean, they did Civil War in the comics, and they did Civil War 2 around the same time that Civil War is coming out at the movie theaters, and we won't speculate on the why on that kind of stuff, but something that's totally different discussion. But I can see that they're leading into that. They've had all the pieces, they've got all the toys there at their disposal to do something like that. I would like to see that because in case you guys don't already know, I was a huge fan of leading all this stuff leading up to it from the Sultan Pleasant Hill, leading up and through Secret Empire into the current Marvel universe. And the reason I like a lot of that. Is something, maybe we could see a lot of it coming up in the MCU is Secret Empire kind of rebooted the whole Marvel universe back into its classic form. We got our classic Peter Parker Spider-Man back. We got our classic Steve Rogers, just all these different characters. We got our classic Hulk back. We got all these characters that went back to their classic forms instead of some of them. And maybe not all of them, but a lot of them went back to their classic forms. Where in some of these characters you couldn't find their regular iterations, like the Bruce Banner Hulk and things like that. So it reset everything, which to me is perfect. Because after you do a Civil War II, an Assault on Pleasant Hill, a Civil War II, a Secret Empire, where Steve Rogers tries to take over, where he actually takes over America and Hydra and all these different things. It reset everything, and it would give them the perfect opportunity to reset some of these characters, so we could get our new Captain America, we could get a new Tony Stark in the MCU, just different versions of them. And that's the thing, it'd be different versions, while still those same characters. I just think a lot of that stuff would be cool. Okay, does that mean that Agent Carter is Captain America's daughter? No, because in the movies, Peggy Carter was her aunt, so it would be her Peggy's sister's child or whatnot. So that's how that would work out. But then that makes me wonder, and that was another thing, that we see Peggy Carter being in there, because in the comic books around that same time, like I said, she had gotten aged back up too, and Steve Rogers was in a relationship with Sharon Carter at that point, and I don't know. Like I said, Steve Rogers likes to keep it in the family there. But yeah, so again, these are things that I've definitely got. I'm definitely looking forward to. Um, Aggressively relaxing says the only reason I think you're wrong is because Shield already did the framework. What do you mean? Oh, you mean for like as far as aggressively relaxing? You mean as far as the framework for making like the reality changing stuff that they did for that? Is that what you're talking about? Um, like where they eventually put them in the prison and everything like that, because I'm guessing you're talking about Agents of Shield, where they did like the LMDs and all that stuff, and they put them in that basically they were in that other reality in their mind. I'm guessing that's what you're talking about. um I'm guessing that's what you're talking about, and that's what and that's what I'm thinking as well. Well, and I'm thinking that would be their way to kind of bring that, since they're ending that whole series anyway. That would be their way of kind of bringing that back into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because since it's over now, there's really no way that they're going to saturate that and confuse anybody with any of those properties. Or maybe that's something they're going to end up doing in the first place. But and like I said, that's kind of, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that too. Like you're saying, I mean, it's something they've kind of already done, if we're talking about the same thing here. Um, but at the same time, but then because we've seen heroes that were stuck there in the framework and things like that, having their minds messed with. But again, I mean, that's why I think all of this stuff is completely possible in the MCU, is because they've already done these things. Like I said, they've already got all the toys there, and a lot of this stuff would kind of really be because like. I was talking about this before, like Captain America, the Winter Soldier. A lot of the stuff in that movie, I mean, that is, I mean, that whole movie is basically all the stuff that led, like Assault on Pleasant Hill, all that stuff that led up to it. You know what I mean? They had the helicarriers. They had just a lot of the stuff that went on in that movie. Kind of alludes to the Assault on Pleasant Hill, going into this, Civil War II and things like that. Where obviously Civil War II was started over that, I can't even, was it Ulysses who could see the future, and Captain Marvel wanted to predict the future, use those future predictions, which was Zola's algorithm in the MCU. In this case, Zola's algorithm would be the place of Ulysses in that case. Wanted to use that to stop crimes before they happened, which is exactly what all Project Oversight was. It was all that same thing, and that's why I say a lot of that stuff's been done. So if they covered all of that in the Falcon and Winter Soldier series, leading up to that, that's what's going to lead into our Captain Marvel Civil War 2, is exactly that. Because maybe Captain Marvel comes back and finds out, like, oh, we got this way to stop all this stuff, and maybe that's where we get some of those things coming up for the Civil War 2, and a lot of that stuff. Where obviously we wouldn't have Tony Stark fighting against her, but we would probably have somebody similar. I mean, maybe it's Black Panther, maybe it's going to be Falcon or Bucky, or maybe Captain America himself, or maybe it's Doctor Strange. Just these different people who could be the people who are at odds in Civil War 2. And that, for me, that's why I think it just makes sense, because like all the groundwork, they've already laid all that groundwork. Like I said, Zolga's algorithm, with being Ulysses, and they pretty much got the Pleasant Hill already. They had Raft. They already got Raft, where they've got super people locked up in the first place. And like I said, we know they've already announced Daniel Bruhl coming back to play Zemo, and he's already going to be in that series as well. And that's what I'm saying. Like that's kind of why I think I'm right too, though, is because they've got all the pieces there. They've led up to it all. It just makes me, man. Maybe I need to do a good set down video on this and explain my position. I need to go back through and skim through some of these comics and get into it and explain why I think some of this stuff is coming. Because I'm telling you, man, like this stuff excites me, because, and like I said, a lot of these stuff, they're not even my favorite comics. Like Civil War 2, it's not my favorite comic. It's not even close. Like it was okay, that whole event. But like Assault on Pleasant Hill, I loved it. Like that. Like I was like, oh yeah, because then I was really liking reading like the Sam Wilson Captain America and the Steve Rogers Captain America at the same time, because a lot of the conflict that was going on there, and then how it just led into Secret Empire. Like I'm telling you, like, dude, that stuff excites me. That stuff excites me because, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Aggressively relaxing says, time traveling Steve goes to a birthday party. Peggy isn't little Sharon, beautiful Steve. I can't believe she is 18. Steve, no, I don't think so. Let's talk about something else. All right. Steve like, nope. Like, don't let her see me. Yeah. Oh man, that's funny. Oh, aggressively relaxing. You know what? Maybe we need to. Maybe aggressively relaxing. We need to get together. Maybe because I want to do a video talking about some of my. Maybe I need to do a set down video talking about some of my speculation for Assault on Pleasant Hill and some of the future coming up here. And it would be great to get some of your stuff to come in and parody some of that. Some of that stuff because you're freaking hilarious, dude, and just some of those things. Maybe I could get you to come in and kind of do like a little spot for my video, doing some of those predictions. That'd be great, and I need to do that soon, obviously, because man, next thing you know, all these TV shows and movies are going to be here in our faces, and I can't wait. Man, I can't wait. Um, Discovery Comics says, thanks, this was fun. Got to start working on today's show. Thumbs up. Oh yeah. Thank you for being here, Discovery Bay Comics. And yeah, I'm getting ready to end the show anyway. It's 9 o'clock. I gotta go out and get everything else done for the day. Go out and do some work, see some people, sell some snacks. And in case you guys don't know, that's what I do for a living. There's a link down in the description where you can go and check out the Peanut Peddler. There's a link down there where you can go and check out a bunch of different snacks, have them delivered straight to your door. No, this isn't sponsored. That's just what I do. It's just part of my business. That I do I own I'm a franchise owner. I'm a franchisee. So anyway, yeah, that's just some of my speculations. If you guys have any other speculations or anything that you guys would like to share, please feel free to get a hold of me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or any other means. You can even go to my About section here on the channel where you can even find my email. Email any of your ideas, any of your thoughts. Please at any time let me know, because like I said, I'm excited about some of this stuff, and I can't wait to see what we've got coming up for us, what's in store for us in the MCU with some of these properties. But that's all I have for this video today, folks. Thank you all so much for tuning into the Second Street Marvel today. Now, as I said, I will have a video premiering here at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and got a new comic book review getting ready to drop. I've got another one queued up and ready to go for tomorrow. And don't forget, later today I will be doing my Trailer Park News, where I'm going to go over some of the comic books that are going to be released this week, and just make fun of some stuff. But that's all I have for this video. Thank you all so much for tuning into the morning movie chat. You all have a very good day. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you in the next video. Later.